Not every project idea that I come up with is a success. Some of them are straight up a disaster, like today's project, for example. It tried really hard to defeat me, and there were moments when I wanted to give up and just throw the whole idea in the trash. But giving up is really not in my DNA. And I was determined to make this project happen. And I did, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here. So let's take a step back, start from the beginning, and see where the whole project went wrong and what I did to fix it. Hello, my darling friends. Welcome back. I am so excited y'all are here today. We're gonna have some fun. I've got a great idea that I can hardly wait to share with y'all. I'm excited about this project, about this idea, and I'm really excited and curious to see if I can pull it off. And it's gonna be fun to share this with y'all and have y'all along as we attempt this really fun project. So I have this really blank wall on my deck just right above the settee. And so I thought it would be really fun to create some fun, romantic, moody lighting to hang above the settee or on either side of the settee. So that is what we are going to jump in today. We are going to attempt to go make some DIY pendant lights to hang above the settee on my deck. So y'all, are we ready? Let's get started. Let's just go jump right into this project and see if we can make it work. Okay, y'all, so the very first thing that I want to tackle for our pendant lighting are the lamp shades. I have a great idea on how I think we can create these, and it might be a little bit messy. So I don't know if I'm ready to tackle it, but we're sure gonna dive in. So are you ready to get your hands messy? Let's go see if we can make some lamp shades for our pendant lighting. We are going to be using several supplies to make our pendant lights. We're going to need some of this electrical lamp cording. I will have this linked in the description box for y'all. For the lampshades, we're going to need some balloons. These are going to be the forms that we use. You're going to need jute. You can use any kind of jute you like. I'm using some pretty thin jute, but whatever you prefer. And then we're going to need some glue, and I'm using Mod Podge just because I feel like it dries the fastest. You're also going to need some water. You're going to need a whisk. You're going to need some bowls. You're going to need something round to create some boundaries for us on our forms. You're going to need a Sharpie marker. And last but not least, we are definitely going to need some paper towels, and you are going to need a lot of these for this project. So I've gone ahead and blown up 2 balloons. We are going to be using these balloons as our lamp shade form. These are going to be how we form the lampshade. So to get started, I'm first going to draw a circle around the bottom of my first balloon. And the size circle that you choose to trace on the bottom of your balloon will depend on how large or small you want your opening to be. I wanted a fairly large opening, so as you can see, this is a pretty big circle. And I'm going to go ahead and trace this onto both balloons. For the top of our balloon form, we're going to make a smaller circle, and this smaller circle is going to be where our light fixture, the part that holds the light bulb, fits down into. So you want to make sure that you create a circle that's about the same size of your light fixture, your light socket. Now that we have our circles drawn on, we're going to go ahead and mix up some glue. And I have poured about a cup and a quarter of glue into this bowl. And then I'm going to add about a half a cup of water to this and stir it up really, really well. This is an optional step, but I do feel like if you water down the glue a little bit better, it does make the glue a little thinner and it's not quite so heavy on your lampshade. Now that our glue is really well mixed with the water, I'm going to go ahead and get started on forming our lampshade. So to do this, I'm actually literally going to just drop my whole ball of jute right into the glue. This works the best because it helps prevent, if you leave your jute on the ball, it helps prevent tangling. So, and it also evenly coats all of the glue. So this method actually works really well. I will tell you from experience, I did try just pulling off a section and dipping it in the glue. Did not work. Everything turned tangled and I wasn't getting enough glue. It was kind of a disaster and kind of a mess. The next step is I'm going to go ahead, just to get our jute started, I'm going to go ahead and coat most of the balloon in a thin layer of glue. And then I will go ahead and just place my jute onto the balloon form, just kind of wherever. You just want to hold on to it really well before you start doing this. And then we are literally going to just start wrapping the jute all around the balloon. Do make sure that you kind of cover the whole thing with glue. I think this really does help. It helps give you just some extra bonding and some extra hold to our balloon form. So after I get this really well coated, then we will go ahead and just start wrapping our jute around and around and around and around. It was a little bit fiddly getting the jute started on our balloon form here. I think that's why it's really important to make sure you have a thin layer of glue on the balloon itself. This helps keep everything into place as you get your jute started. I did find one thing that was helpful was to start the jute just around the very center of the balloon and just kind of make a couple of strands. And then after I got that into place, you can see here, this was my starting point. It did kind of want to keep coming up, but eventually it just sticks and it stays put. So once you get that first initial center wrap, you can just start going crazy here and just wrapping this thing in all directions. You just can go side to side, up and down, diagonal, and it is where things get really messy at this point. The glue starts splattering everywhere, so I do recommend wearing an apron or an old paint shirt that you don't mind getting glue on. So as I was wrapping here and letting things just get started, I do try to be mindful of my circle points. This is where we want to keep the jute to the inside of both of our little circles that we've drawn onto the balloon. So again, I'm just going to continue wrapping here. And there's really no rhyme or reason to how I was doing this. I wasn't trying to create a specific pattern. At this point, I was just trying to keep the glue or to keep the jute on the balloon, because if you don't get it wrapped tight, it will start to come undone. And this did happen to me, and I had a really fun mess on my hands and kind of had to start all over. So I recommend just getting a good start and holding your glue into place and wrapping it really tight as you go. The other thing I found a little trying or a little difficult was holding on to the balloon as I was wrapping, because I was just trying to hold on to, the part where we tie the knot in the balloon. And it doesn't give you a lot of holding surface. You can't really hold tight to the balloon. But once I started going, I did get into a rhythm and things just kind of started flowing much better, a lot easier. And then as I was wrapping, if I did get some strings over my circles, I just kind of started pushing them back. And you can kind of see how I've done that here, because I did notice that in some places it's really hard to avoid getting the jute wrapped around those, but it does push back easily. So you can see here how I've got it kind of went over my circle, and then look, it just pushed back against my circle really easy. I was able to just form it around that circle on the top and the bottom. Okay, so again, y'all, this is kind of a repetitive project. We just keep twisting, twisting, twisting. And I do feel like the more jute you use, the better outcome you're going to have. At this point, I'm kind of asking myself, what was I thinking? Really, what was I thinking? This is a super messy project, and I have had to stop and wash my hands probably 45 times just in the first lampshade. But I feel like I finally got it covered. I'm happy with how this is looking. So I went ahead and cut off my jute, and then that end piece where we cut it, I just sort of pulled it up against the balloon and sort of tucked it in and tried to make it as invisible as I could, and then covered it with a little bit of glue. So after I got so you can see I'm kind of covering it with glue here, and it does help hold it down. And then I don't know why I thought this, because it's not like there's not enough glue on this already, but I did feel like I should probably add a little more glue. So I took my jute out of the bowl of glue and then just started patting glue all over the lampshade. Now in hindsight, I wish I hadn't done this. So if you decide to make one of these, I don't recommend doing this step, because you'll see why in a little bit. It sort of makes a mess.
Oh my gosh, that was a messy, messy endeavor. I had glue everywhere, but our lampshades are made, and at this point, I'm not too sure how I'm feeling about them. I'm not sure if they are going to turn out the way I had envisioned them. But we're going to let the glue set up on these, and then I'll make a decision and decide after they've set up and hardened. I'll decide whether or not I like them. We'll just have to see, I guess. So in the meantime, while our lampshades are setting up, let's head out into the shop and start working on our lamp bases, all the fixture parts for our lamps so that they are actual lamps. So here we go. Let's head out into the shop and work on phase 2 of this project.
So I cannot say enough thank yous to Michael for always being such a good sport about helping me create these projects, these crazy ideas that I get. Michael's such a good sport about just jumping right into them. So he is going to help me with this step. So the first thing that we had to do was measure the length of our post. Now this is going to be the post that attaches to our canopy. The canopy is the back plate of our light fixture. So we measured it to length, took it to the chop saw, and cut the proper length. And now Michael is just checking to make sure that everything is level and square with our canopy, to make sure that we got a good clean cut on the edge. We need to be able to find center on our dowel. So to do this, we are going to trace the dowel onto a piece of paper. Then we will cut this out. This is one of my favorite techniques. Y'all have probably heard me talk about this a million times, but this is the easiest way to find center on a circumference or a round surface. So we're cutting this out, and then after we get it cut out, we're going to fold it into fourths, or you can fold it into eighths. Michael did here. He got a little carried away with folding. So we just fold it in half, then we'll fold it in half again, and then fold it in half one more time. And so when we open this up, the creases in our folds are going to give us this perfect X in the middle of our round, in the middle of our circle, and that in the middle of that X is where our perfect center is. So we'll take this back after we unfold it. We're going to unfold it here. The unveiling. So Michael's just carefully unfolding this. I don't know. I think this was for effect, for drama. So you can see where the X's give us that perfect center point. So we'll just mark it with our pencil. Then we're going to take this to the top of our dowel, place it on top of the dowel, and with our marker punch thing. I'm not sure what this is actually called, but it's kind of like a little punch thing. And Michael's going to go ahead and punch that so that it leaves like a little divot in the dowel, which gives us our center point. Now it is time to drill some holes in our dowels so that we can attach them to our canopy. So at first, Michael and I just came in with a regular old drill bit. We're like, oh, we can make this work. But you know, as any project goes, we're always learning. We just never stop learning with each and every project. And this project was no different, because we started drilling this and suddenly we were both like, oh, this isn't going to work. We need to use a tap drill so that we can create some threads in the dowel for that, screw to actually have threads to adhere to. But I'm getting ahead of myself again, so I will talk about that a little bit more in a bit. So back to the canopy, we do need to drill an extra hole in the canopy. So we first came in, and this extra hole is going to be so we can thread our electrical wire through. So we came in with a really small drill bit and created a pilot hole so that we didn't run the risk of denting our metal here. Then we came in with a step bit. The step bit gives us that perfect diameter. It helps us know exactly when to stop for the diameter that we need. So and then we also put some blocks behind the canopy that also prevents some denting of the metal. So after we got all of our holes drilled, we're doing a dry fit here. We needed to do a dry fit to just kind of gauge the depth of where the screw comes through the canopy. And then Michael comes in, he marks it here with a Sharpie marker. And then this is going to let us know exactly how far in we need to screw this part of the screw into our dowel. Now that we have the depth marked for how far this screw needs to go into our dowel, we're just going to go ahead and tape this off. This gives us an easy marker so that as we place it into the dowel, we know not to screw it further than our tape lines. But to be extra cautious, even though we did put some threads in this dowel, we decided to go ahead and add a little bit of glue just to give us some extra bonding power. So we are just using some Gorilla Construction adhesive here. This is the clear one. We just put a little bit into the dowel, and this is going to just give us that extra assurance that that dowel isn't going to go anywhere, just in case the threads weren't, quite tight enough or the right, whatever. We just decided we needed those extra reinforcements. So we go ahead and add this part of the screw into the dowel, and then we did let this set up overnight to completely cure. So now we're on to the second lamp, the second pendant light, and we are just literally going to repeat all of that same process all over again. It is literally a rinse and repeat process. Okay, so we've done it. Our dowels have set up overnight. The glue is set, and now we can go ahead and attach the dowel to our light fixture's canopy. So to do this, we are just using all the parts that actually came with this kit. The canopy came in a kit, and we're utilizing most of the parts. So we're just adding in the washer and a nut to attach to make sure that the dowel is attached to the canopy very securely. We want to make sure this is held securely into place so that it doesn't actually ever go anywhere. Then we'll go ahead and string our electrical wire through that extra hole that we drilled into the canopy, tie a knot so that it can't come through. Okay, so here is something to keep in mind. We decided not to hardwire ours because we don't actually have an electrical plug-in available or in the the reach of where we want to hang these. So we're going to use some rechargeable battery powered light bulbs to go into this. But if you want to actually hardwire yours, don't do this step. Don't cut that off, because then you can just plug in your cord. If you're going to use this same cord, it'll just plug right into an electrical outlet.
Okay, y'all, so we've got the base all assembled and ready for our pendant lights. That's ready for installation. So the last step is preparing our lampshades to be installed. So we're going to check on those, make sure that they have completely set up and that that glue has completely hardened. So let's go move on to our last step before installation.
Okay, so our lampshade forms have fully set up, and they actually did get really stiff. They set up beautifully, actually. So now we get to do probably the most satisfying part of this project, and that is pop our balloons so that we can peel the balloons out of our lampshades. This did get a little bit fiddly just right around that edge part. I kind of had to just gently pull it away so as not to disrupt the first row of strings around the lampshade. But once I initially got it started to peel away, it kind of just started shrinking on its own and peeled away beautifully. So you can see here how the balloon just kind of started shrinking in on itself, and then it just came out so perfect. It was so easy to take this out, and this is what we have. It's kind of neat and maybe kind of not at the same time. I, at this point, am feeling a little bit of disappointment because there's a few flaws with these. The glue, because I put it on so heavy. So remember way back when I said skip that last step of patting glue on? You can see how it collected in the grooves and it left like windows, these like little stained glass windows almost. And I did try popping a bunch of them out, but then I'm like, there's just way too many. I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to do that. And I did get a lot of gaps. There's a lot of gaps. I learned a lot. So this one here is the first one that I made, and it actually came out really well. The other two, not so much. But I don't want to think all is lost here, so I'm going to go ahead and see what they look like with our little battery lamps in them. And then I'll go ahead and attach it to our base, the base part of our lamp, and just see what they look like. So here I've decided maybe all is not lost. I'll go ahead and try to attach it. One thing I would like to suggest is if you are going to create some lamps like this for yourself, make sure that you get the lamp sockets that has the screw ring, because that's what holds the lamp socket to the actual lamp shade. I hope that makes sense. So here I am just kind of fitting it all together. I just am curious. I would like to see what it's going to look like. And honestly, y'all, it's not horrible. It's not horrible, but at this point, I do feel a little bit disappointed in the outcome. So in my original design idea, This is what I wanted it to look like. And y'all, honestly, it doesn't look horrible. It really doesn't look horrible, but it's still not quite up to the expectation that I had in my mind when I first thought this idea up. But again, I just kind of want to do a dry fit and see what it's going to look like. So I string the electrical wire through that extra hole that we had, and then I'm going to wrap it around the post. That was my original intent, as I wanted to have some excess rope here to wrap this around so that it dangles off the front. And I really love the look. I think it's fantastic. It's just the lampshades that I'm not too keen on at this point.
Okay, y'all, so here's where we come to the part of our story where I feel like the lampshades are a disaster. This one turned out the best of the three. I only needed two. I made three just in case one didn't turn out, and honestly, I don't feel like any of them turned out that great. They're just not exactly what I envisioned. They're a little messier than I think I like, and I really don't like that you can see the glue through the gaps. It makes it look messy and unintentional, I think. So I'm just not sure. They're also a little bit bigger than I think I wanted. I'm not sure that they're going to work in the space where I want to put them. I feel like they could just be a little bit too big. So here's my thoughts. I do think these could be a success. I think I need to just take some time and fill it in more and use a lot more jute, because I think the trick is to use a lot of jute. So this was the first one I made actually, and I did use quite a bit of jute. This was the second one, and you can see it's just got a lot more gaps in it. I didn't use as much jute, and I don't know, this one, I'm just not sure. I just don't know how I feel about these, y'all. So however, I do have a plan B, and all is not lost. I might end up hanging these somewhere else, but I'm just not so sure they're gonna work for my original idea. Okay, y'all, let's talk plan B. So because I just don't think these lampshades are gonna work for my original idea, I jumped on Amazon and I found these. I found these two little cuties. They're a lot smaller. They're gonna work much better in the space where I want to put them. So we are now going to go head outside and install our fun pendant lights and see how they look. All right, y'all, let's head outside and install our lights.
The installation process of these was actually fairly easy, fairly straightforward. It's really no different than adding any light fixture to a space, because we are using the components that came with our canopy. So Michael he first just came in with the canopy, placed it up there to make sure that we had the position where we wanted. And then he came back in with his level, made sure everything was going to be perfectly level, perfectly squared up, perfectly centered, all the mathematical stuff to make sure that it's going to look really good in this position, and to make sure that we get it hung level so nothing is crooked. So he's making all his marks, and then we're going to come in with this little bracket. This bracket comes with the canopy kit, and this is what we use to actually hang it. So we're going to come in with this. Michael's making all of his measurements, made all of his marks. Everything is perfectly level. And then we're just simply going to screw it to our privacy wall on our deck. And one thing that we did realize that we did wrong here is we had this turned around backwards so that the threads were facing inwards. When you attach this bracket to the wall, you want to make sure that your threads are facing outwards so that you can actually attach the canopy and the base plate properly to this piece. So we'll just go ahead and finish attaching these. In the end, we do flip it around because we realized our mistake. We flipped it around, and then this went on so easy without any issue or mishaps. We just simply were able to screw it into the base. So you can see here how this just is going on so nice and easy. And then after we get it positioned exactly the way we wanted, get it screwed on there really tight, we can go ahead and do our fun little wrap with the cording. This is one of my favorite elements about this. I love this design choice to wrap this around. So we go ahead and wrap it around, and then I'm going to install our cute little lampshades and the light bulbs, and then we just get to sit back and enjoy the end result of our creation.
Well, y'all, I feel like our lights turned out pretty good. They're not bad for a DIY project that almost did not happen. I am loving them so much. I feel like they've just added a lot of romance to this space. They've added some coziness to this space. I can't wait to see them at nighttime. I think it's going to be so pretty. I think my favorite feature about these lights is I like our cute little lampshades that we found on Amazon, and I will link them below for y'all. I also really like the detail of how we looped the cording over the post. I just love that. I think it adds an air of summer for sure. It kind of has a small tinge of that nautical feel to it, but yet not at the same time. I think it could be paired with any kind of style, any kind of design taste and style. So overall, y'all, I feel really happy with how our lights turned out. I am loving them, and I cannot wait to sit out on the deck tonight with my favorite beverage and my favorite person and just enjoy our lights. I love a good ending to a shaky start. Y'all, I am so glad that I did not give up on this lighting idea. They turned out so great. I am really loving them, and I know we are going to enjoy them through the rest of our summer and way into fall. I encourage y'all to make some lighting for yourself. If you've got a space or an area in any of your outdoor spaces or your indoor spaces that just need a little extra something, lighting can make all the difference. It just adds so much to a space. So I encourage y'all to try this DIY. Let me know down below what you thought of today's project and what you thought of our DIY lampshades. And if you have any ideas on how we could have made those better, I would love to hear them. Alrighty, my friends. Well, that is going to wrap it up for today. I enjoyed our time together. I love your company as we work on these projects. Y'all just mean so much to me. So thank you all so much for being here today. I look forward to seeing you all again next week. Until then, take care, and I will see y'all soon. Bye. Why do I always get an itch right when I need to talk or have something really important to say? Gosh, just dumb. Just dumb. Just dumb. I don't know. It could be a hard decision. Some decisions are hard. Some decisions aren't. This is just ugly. I just don't know. What even is this? Could we wear it as a hat? Oh, yeah. P.S. So, our DIY lampshades, I did not throw them out. I ended up using them. I hung them above my outdoor dining table, and you know, they look kind of cute as long as you don't look at them too close up.